Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying all day so far. One of the most fascinating careers in the history of competitive Call of Duty. Huke finally responds to a drama-filled season, not because he caused any of that drama, but because he needed to respond to it on certain occasions. Sib, Maven, obviously what happened with the OpTic guys, dropping him so many occasions this year. Huke has now responded to all of that and given an insight into the mindset that has made him one of the most likable players in COD right now. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Let's start with a couple of roster things. Of course, FaZe also tweeted what we talked about yesterday, the FaZe team out for the evening. Kaysan was in the replies. Actually, we can look at the replies right here. He was like, oh no, here we go. So, look, who knows? Is it like a plot twist to see the old pal saying, are they coming back? If Ronnie doesn't say it, then probably not. Drazah then says, what have I done? Which I thought was pretty funny, right? Because after the couple of seasons that Drazah's been talking about this, what have I done? If you guys aren't familiar with the lore, Drazah, formerly known as the CEO of OpTic, although that he's now removed that from his bio. It used to be in his bio, but it's now not there anymore. Understandably so, because under Drazah's tenure as CEO, OpTic actually did rather well. They won a couple of world championships. Now, the FaZe versus OpTic head-to-head, we know, was heavily in FaZe's favour, while Drazah was there, and that's why he was constantly tweeting, what have I done, when OpTic were going through their troubles earlier this season. Then Dashy dropped back with a similar thing after the world championship. Be like, damn, you know, what have I done, after FaZe crashed out there, and now Drazah saying a similar thing once again. Simp indeed did probably have a rather late night. It took him a little while to get up yesterday morning. So presumably that was maybe FaZe's last evening together as a team. Now, Simp's also excited for the new game. Black Ops 7 worldwide reveal is actually coming tomorrow. So we're finally going to get a look at the new title. We'll see what it looks like. There's been loads of rumours about this. The leading rumour, I will say, that's kind of caused intrigue over the last week or so is that BO7 was the game that BO6 was meant to be. I think what I mean by that is that was always the original Treyarch game that they were working on, and BO6 they kind of just had to throw in there because there were issues, right? And it's happened before with Activision, Microsoft as it is now, effectively, that things go wrong and the games that they work on kind of get messed around. We've seen developers step in before, and, you know, even Cold War, right? Wasn't that a fast-tracked game that was meant to be launched beyond, but they, like, Sledgehammer were messing up their game, so they had to bring forward Cold War. It's all a bit of a mess. Rumour has it there could be a similar thing here with BO7, where actually, you know, we thought BO6 had all these development years, and we're like, damn, why is this game, like, the game wasn't bad, but it's just, the maps were terrible, it didn't really have much going for it. The theory is that BO7 is the game, and they're like, they always say this, don't they? It's like, oh, well, BO7, it's going to be the best COD ever, load up the attached tweet. But I think you know what I'm getting at. That's the theory anyway, that this game was the game that BO6 was meant to be. There's going to be 16 6v6 maps at launch for BO7. 3 of them are going to be remasters. We think it's going to be Raid, not Standoff yet, Raid, Express, Hijacked. Those are the 3 that are rumoured. They will likely bring in more, I would say, over time. I'm also hoping they bring back some, I don't want to say Black Ops 3 maps, I want to go there again, but, you know, BO4 maps, an Arsenal, a Frequency, maybe a Gridlock. I was a big fan of that map back in the day as well. But they will have 13 original 6v6 maps. The question is, are they going to be more similar to Protocol, or are they going to be more similar to Raid, for example, right? So that is the debate on what we see, and when we hopefully have the BO7 launch, I know that it's going to be more, let's say, single player related and stuff like that, but maybe we'll get some sort of teaser at multiplayer, might get to see a glimpse of a couple of the new original maps they've come up with, and hopefully they're kind of good, because look, I'm in the camp. I like having new maps in the game. I don't want to play just remasters, but it doesn't seem that the devs nowadays are capable of making maps as good as they used to, apart from maybe the Sledgehammer devs who put together 6-Star Vista, Rio, etc. So it's not like great maps can't still be made. They can, but in the inability of the current developers most of the time to actually do it, I am in favour of playing more remastered maps. I think that every year we should at least have something that, you know, we've played at least at times before, but I don't mind more original maps. This to me is a pretty good combination. 13 maps, like surely out of the 13 new ones, we're going to find something that's kind of good. This was, yeah, kind of combining the rumour BO2, BO3 were going to take elements of both for this title, and this is why there's been some further discussion on whether this game was the game that it was meant to be all along, as it were. Couple of roster things. This was tongue-in-cheek from Zuma. I don't think there's any world where Cellium's getting paid $2.5 million. We don't know what Cellium's salary is. We don't know what Pred's salary is. People are assuming about $500k a year. Cellium, you'd imagine, would probably be on something similar. I do think it's interesting, though, to see, is he on the same as Pred? Now, we're never probably going to know this, but is he on the same as Pred, or is he on more than Pred, or is he on less than Pred? I kind of doubt he's on less, but it's possible, I suppose. They didn't have to pay a buyout for Cellium. But presumably they had to pay a lot to sell to get him to not go to Thieves. That's the theory anyways, that he had the Thieves offer, he could have gone there. Maybe there were some issues there we talked about, whether Cellium would want to go, and whether that team would really, you know, make as much sense as it could have done with another option. I actually like the Kenny move personally. I know that many people have their opinions on that, but likely they had to pay a lot of money to Cellium as a contract to say, look, come here instead of Thieves because we can offer you loads more money, so it's going to make sense. So it is a question, though, because whoever gets paid more money, I'm not going to say they become the face of the team, but on some level they maybe have a bit more power in the decision-making stakes as we go forwards. Like, who's calling the shots from now on? It felt like it was Pred, right? Pred's the face of the team, makes sense. Clay's a coach, kind of like general manager, I guess. But how much power does Clay really have? Is it all about Pred, right? He's the top guy. They wanted to get Sib, potentially because he wanted to play with Pred, but Sib isn't so convinced that he's going to go because Sib thinks that if he goes to Falcons, he's going to get replaced by Scrap next year. That might be valid. So instead, they're going to do something else. Xnid and Pred, Kismet on the flex, apparently. There's a couple of things they're playing around with right now. Is he getting paid $2.5 million? Doubtful. But whatever he is getting paid, it's relevant because, you know, is Cellium going to be the new face of the franchise? Is he going to be the new guy who makes the decisions when it comes to who he wants as a player, as a teammate going forward? It's unlikely it's going to be one, but Pred and Cellium will have the most weight in those decisions going forwards for sure, if Falcons can actually go and get those guys, because right now it's not clear that they can get anyone they want, because they tried to get Sib, they tried to get Ghosty, they tried to get Scrap, right, and potentially HyDra, I don't know, throw the bag out there at Thieves to try and make it happen, and it didn't quite happen. But let's talk about this Huke situation, because what a year, I mean, not even what a year, but just what a career Huke has had, from coming into Call of Duty, being an absolute superstar on the map back in Advanced Warfare 10 years ago, then not being able to play because he was underage, going to Halo, winning a couple of championships there, coming back to COD, struggling for a little while, but then getting picked up to Splice, moving over to Dallas Empire, taking in the pay cut famously so that Shotzzy could join as well, and then winning the World Championship that year, then going through all sorts of drama over the last few seasons for multiple reasons, and then returning to the top of the table this year. And Huke went through an awful lot in his career, and also just an awful lot this season in general. The OpTic guys without Huke were talking about him. I think maybe Huke was away or something, and that's when they did this tier list at the time. They put Huke up straight there in the S tier. But Huke was talking on the Flycast with Hitch and Maniac about all the drama that happened this year, because to be fair to Huke, and it's understandable, he's been dropped by this team before, and he was dropped again this season, right? And that's the remarkable thing. Pred was out, Huke came in, then they dropped Huke again for Pred, and Kenny was coming out on that stream, and he didn't say directly, but he was certainly implying that him and Huke were having some disagreements in the way that, you know, they were intending to approach the game. And Huke was getting criticised from all angles, right? Even though when he came into OpTic at the start of the season, he was their best player, I think you would well argue. I think last year on Surge, he was pretty respectable. He didn't have a great year, but, you know, he was okay the last couple of seasons. And then you got comments like this. This is back in November last year, where Sib was throwing those shots at Huke and say, damn, Huke's frying in these 8s, he's frying in scrims, but he's going to turn up to LAN and he's going to go 20 and 45, right? So Huke was catching some heat, right? And it wasn't just from Sib, but we'll see some other comments here in just a second. And how, as a player, do you deal with that appropriately? How do you just, you know, turn up every day, grind the most? And even as the OpTic guys are about to say, I'll share the clips, he just was in the office first, watching VOD, and he was out of the office last. This guy was putting it all on the line, but it's not to prove anyone wrong, it's just for himself.
Kyler?
Kyler.
I mean, Kyler was, like year on year, like full year, Kyler was probably the most consistent player.
Best COD, so me personally, I'm putting a mess. I am a little biased, don't get it twisted, but I think if you ask anyone, I mean, I actually don't know. Honestly, bro, I don't know what the fuck the league thinks of him. I feel like people always, like, discredit Kyler. I will say, whenever I'm not teaming with Kyler, I ain't gonna lie. Whenever I'm playing against, but that's the thing though, is that like I feel like his team just plays so different.
Are you saying you run him?
Nah. I'm more saying that like the teams that he's been on are just not like they're just not well structured.
No, you guys activated Kyler. Like Kyler on this team is like, bro, I was saying this on stream. Like, you guys don't nitpick him. Like, he's allowed to be Kyler. Where, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he's playing with like Slasher or Ken, and they're like trying to hyper fixate on like, yo, you got to play this way, I feel like that negatively affects a player like him and you too. Like, you just have to be like, you have to be allowed to do whatever you want, kind of, and like learn yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Like,
so I agree. I think Kyler was, once again, on the year, probably your most consistent player.
Dude, he's like one of the best teammates too. Like,
no, he actually is.
Every day he's going hard. Like, he's there first. Like, he's the first one there, and he's the last one.
He's
out.
like the least problematic person ever.
He's watching VOD. Like, he's like only just trying to make everybody's job easier.
He watches hella VOD.
He's him.
Right after the scrim.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Like,
and I'm just thinking about the Ruby, and he's.
All right, Paco put in.
I want to ask you a general question. You're a guy that like keeps to himself. You play games and you stay out of trouble and you help the team. But I've seen twice this year people have their name in your mouth for some reason. Why is that happening? Sib said Kyler's getting carried or something. And then like when they won champs, for some reason Maven was bringing him up.
I don't mind people talking. That was to your answer. You said, how do I handle it? I don't mind it. I mean, can't control someone saying something.
But when that happens,
I find it funny. I don't know if I'm weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find stuff like that funny because it's like, basically I was frying in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Just before I joined OpTic, in 8s, you know, I wasn't even on a pro team. You know, I'm shitting on people. Basically, I was really good at the game, and I wasn't as good last year, so, you know, he's just saying stuff.
He's just saying that.
Yeah. I've experienced this before. That's why it also doesn't bother me. I was called an online warrior when I was 15 years old.
Kyle's just going to go to LAN and go 20 and 45.
That was Sib?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not that crazy.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I've said shit like that.
But you think when they scrim, he's like fucking just annihilating everyone too? Just running?
Yeah, 100%, because challengers know how to fucking play against that type of playstyle. Oh my god, he's on my face again, dude. Fuck, man. Huke, man.
And you don't get up and talk shit back?
Nah.
After a win? No satisfaction?
They feel enough with the loss.
It's also like how I've been since I was younger. Like, I'm playing the game. Like, I'm not playing because you, in a sense, right? If he's talking, I'm talking to the shit talker.
Yeah.
I'm playing because I want to play the game. So, like, that's just how I've always been. So, like, I don't take anything personal. It's kind of like, I'm not here for you, bro.
When they were 0-18 and they were trying to get you back, was there any thoughts like, fuck, I don't know? Or was it just like, yep, I'm there?
It was a big decision because I wasn't sure what to do. It was just between, like, what I wanted. Like, do I want to try and join back a team that dropped me a few times, or do I want to try something new, you know? That's basically all it was.
Was there any vendetta against them?
No, not at all. Truthfully, no. I've been playing for so long, like, the times where I had vendetta, it just, like, didn't feel good.
Like wasted energy?
Exactly. Yeah, it didn't feel good doing that, so I choose not to these days.
So humble, so down to earth, so likable, right? It's no surprise that Huke has become one of the community's favorite players. Obviously, he's an OpTic, which always helps. But like, I think it's pretty clear that the OpTic fans, there was some debate, right? When Simp was available, maybe on FaZe, whether you get rid of Huke for Simp and all this. But nobody really wanted that to happen, even if you could make the logical arguments to do that. I don't think anyone was really in favor, I mean, apart from maybe Simp, I don't know, of that actually happening, because no one wanted that to happen to Huke again. And maybe in due course, like, who knows what the future holds. But Huke was a phenomenal player this year, inside and outside of the server, and just his mentality is so impressive, right? Like, he's exactly the type of teammate that you want. He's, first of all, phenomenal at the game, which always helps, but also everything about Huke's kind of play, at least to mesh with that specific team, works really well. With other players, Huke may not, like, Huke's going to get along with anyone because he's not going to cause any issues in, like, any relationships because he's just a great teammate like that. But certain players, I think he'll work with better. There was also comments about like what Maven had to say. So I think Maven's comments go back to this. So at the start of July, Maven was talking about how Huke had like fallen off and he'd gone through these struggles. I literally thought the guy had gone crazy. I thought there was something wrong with him and all this after what difficulties that he went through over the last few years. Maven said that like this wasn't really the full comment. It was more of a general discussion on how happy I am for Huke to have made that, like, let's say, return. So I think this is what Hitch was kind of getting at here. Maven, of course, had a back and forth. I don't know, Maven was going crazy on Twitter about this time. And so what did he close out with? Yeah, this is it. He tweeted out a screenshot of him like DMing Huke back in 2021 and all this. So, I don't know, I just thought this was rather funny to look back on, to be honest. And Maven's been pretty radio silent over the last few weeks, which is probably a good idea, to be perfectly honest. But that's Huke's perspective and says, look, there's nothing personal. He's not looking at that Sib clip. I think 90% of players would look at that Sib clip and be like, yeah, damn, this guy, like, yeah, I heard those comments. And where did you finish at Chaps? You know what I mean? You weren't even there, right? Like, I think that's what most players would do. But for Huke, he's just super chill about it. He's like, look, I don't turn up to work every day for you. And I thought it was pretty cool, actually. He's like, I just don't care about this guy. Like, you say what he wants, right? I'm not bothered. I'm not trying to prove you wrong, but I'm just trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. And that resulted in pretty substantial success this season. So I just think it's a great mindset. It's a pretty rare mindset, I think, among the players. I think understandably as well, right? Like most players, in order to be that like competitive animal, they need a bit of that. Like most people in general, I think, they need people that they're trying to prove wrong or whatever, right? I think it's a big motivation for many people. Huke just isn't like that, right? That's very commendable, I think. And I think it'll serve him well going forwards as well. And it's made him a real lovable figure in the community. And everyone wants Huke to have the best success going forwards. And, well, he achieved rather a lot this season. So, remarkable career. It will continue. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.